Thanks for tuning into another episode of Quick Reaction TV. If you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for new releases. We've got a crazy selection today, let's get right to it. Quick!
Rosemary, who claims to be Elon's nanny. She claimed that Elon Musk opened a portal in his bedroom. She went down into the abyss with him, saw some creatures, and yeah, it gets crazy, everybody.
Okay, he opened up something, a portal, a Stargate, whatever, but he was excited and he was jumping up and down. And
so he was able to open up a Stargate in his room.
Whatever you want to call it. I grabbed his little arm and I got sucked in. And it was dark in there, but it was glowing. And I was being sucked in and sucked down, and I had his little arm. And it was weird because, like, there was no bottom. And there were these creatures in there. And they were giant, and they were semi-shaped like humans. They were glorious. They weren't like Smeagol's or any creepy little demon dudes. They were like beautiful, ancient creatures that moved in a different time. And they were giant. And like they had a different head. Like there was a bird head and like a cat head and a jackal head. And I would compare them, because I'm not super educated, to like Egyptian type of things. To the types of things May had, you know, little artifacts of. I'm not from that region. So we're coming down in there. One of them grabbed me by the throat. And I closed my eyes, and I had him, and I was tiny, like a little rag doll compared to it, and it was holding me up like that, and I cried out. I felt like I couldn't talk, and I cried out, "Jesus, save me!" And it stopped, and we flew back, and we flew out of there, and I still had him. Had his little arm. And we flew back, and we rolled out of his room and out of the hallway and into the living room. And I, like, if you've ever fallen off a merry-go-round and you woo and you stop yourself, you know. And I stopped, and we like grabbed the ground, and I was like, I just felt dizzy. And I looked up at him, and he looked up at me, and we're like on the ground like we're looking at a bug. And he looked up at me, and he goes, "Moon, why are you not like my friends?" And I said, "Well, it's scary in your room, Elon. It's dark." Well, they started calling him Elon later. They switched his name. And I remember the difference. So he tried to feed me to his friends, and he knew exactly what he was doing, because he called me to come play with his friends. Those things and that. And I said Revelation 10, but I think it's Revelation 9. But I think maybe he's the demon from the Apollo from Revelation 10. I think maybe he's a clone.
That's what I'm talking about! The goat!
This company trying to free the devil? I know this sounds crazy, but CERN is a company that is heavily funded and claims that their work helps uncover what the universe is made out of and how it works. Basically giving us a better understanding on how the Big Bang happened and how our universe was created. But there's some things that truly scare me. For one, did the company go out of their way to build a facility on where the devil himself lives and sits on his throne? You see, in the Bible, in Revelation chapter 2, verse 13, Jesus says Satan's throne is in the same city in which Saint Antipas was unalived. Biblical researchers found that Saint Antipas's life was taken under Emperor Nero in a city called Lyon, which is known today as Geneva, Switzerland. That's exactly where CERN so happened to have built their company's facilities and campus. If you pay attention to CERN's logo, it strangely has 3 6s, and you know exactly what that means. Elon Musk himself calls CERN's technology demonic. Oh, and if that's not weird enough for you, they have a statue on their campus of the god Shiva, which is known as the Destroyer. One night, someone actually filmed a group of people who worked at CERN performing a human sacrifice in front of the campus's Shiva statue.
What the What the?
When asked about it in an interview, a spokesperson for CERN said that it was only a prank and that no one was actually harmed. Yeah, sure. A prank. Ha ha. Ha. How do you get caught doing something weird and then go, guys, relax, it's a prank, bro? Anyways, they have a machine called the Hadron Collider, the largest and most powerful particle accelerator ever built. It has only had 2 runs in its lifetime. Some people believe that this machine is actually a portal to another dimension and that their plan is to work and find a way to release the devil himself out of hell. Which would not only release him, but a bunch of demons down there as well. Now there is some science to this because it creates incredibly high energy collisions with particles, which can theoretically open up a portal or tear the fabric of space-time. Now there's no exact scientific proof of this, but who knows? Now let's say none of this is true. There are other concerns concerning CERN. Try saying that 10 times fast. A genius and protege coined the name one of the world's smartest kids, who also created a free energy machine at the age of only 13, has warned us and said that he believes that CERN's experiments are threatening to break the fabric of our existence, and they have already moved us to a parallel reality that is similar to our own.
If there are other universes, they're next to ours, and this actually relates to my theory of the Mandela effect and how the particle accelerator altered the weight of one electron and therefore destroyed our universe and shifted us into the universe that's directly next to it, and therefore things are different in this universe.
Have you ever woke up and felt things were a little off? Something's a little different? You're not where you belong? Or maybe you remember Pikachu having black at the tip of his tail, the Monopoly Man having a monocle, or that there was a Boots popsicle, even though they claim one never existed. Well, maybe we're not tripping. Maybe we're not in our original reality. I mean, a man has supposedly caught a video of the Berenstain Bears book slowly transitioning into a parallel universe and becoming Berenstain Bears.
This just creeps me out, man. I don't even like to be in this room anymore. When I sleep in here, you look at that. That is changing right there. It's changing right there.
I mean, who knows, the Mandela effect could possibly be the aftermath of CERN doing these so-called experiments. Why can't they move me to a reality where there's no bills, no rent? This earth is ghetto. I mean, we got good chicken though. We got some good chicken. By the way, comment one Mandela effect that you found out or remember. Now you may think this is all a bunch of malarkey, but there's been experts in the science community who have actually came out and warned us of the same thing the kid did. They're saying CERN running these experiments could create a black hole that would devour our world. Francis Calligero, a nuclear physicist who was co-winner of a Nobel Peace Prize, published an article titled, "Might a Laboratory Experiment Destroy Planet Earth?" The essay sparked a series of debates that were never ending and lasted years. People all over the world was concerned that CERN might destroy us all. Okay, portals to hell, switching realities, creating black holes. There can't possibly be any more concerns, right? Sadly, there are. I'm just as shocked as you. Now, you know I said that people believe that CERN is opening portals to different realities or a different dimension, maybe even different worlds. People believe that this is where these beings called reptilians, or what we see as aliens, are coming from. They're not traveling billions and billions of light years of space to get here. CERN is just inviting them through their front door. I mean, there's hundreds of species that have said to be walking amongst us today. Pleiadianos, the Greys, the Arcturianos. That many species can't be traveling through space to hit Earth. Someone has even claimed to have footage of one of these species.
Like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually, we terrify of it.
So there's 2 people or 2 subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large.
Calm down, y'all. That's just my ex. She loves nature. All honesty, I can't tell if that video is real or CGI. It's just too realistic with the muscles in the back and everything. But what do you guys think? Should we be worried about CERN? Or is it just one big conspiracy? I don't know what to believe anymore. Make sure to hit that follow, because part 2, it's gonna get crazy. And you don't want to miss it.
No. 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 No.
People in Egypt, they believed in what's called Kemet, the people that existed before the Egyptians. When we hear these stories about the Great Pyramid being a tomb for the pharaoh, it's worth mentioning that even the locals didn't believe that. The saying that the pyramids were built to be tombs for the pharaohs wasn't even developed until 150 years ago. That's it. They were taught Kemet. And it's worth mentioning that when you go through inside these pyramids of Giza, there's not one single glyph in any of them whatsoever. There was never a mummy found in any Egyptian pyramid ever. Quite literally, the only reason why we are told this stuff is because that was the theory developed by these men that went in there and said, I believe these must have been for the pharaohs. That makes sense.
So it's all just one group of people had one theory, and that theory just stuck around.
100%.
Some of you might know me because of a story I broke last March concerning something called the Guardians of the Looking Glass. Basically, what we had here is a technology that was built which would give those people who operated that technology, of course, a huge advantage because they could see and view timelines within a stream, within a field. You know, the awareness of
Sort of human.
to exactly before this time, before this event takes place, for different reasons. What they found was that there are 3 types of beings. There's 2 J-rods, which were called P-52s. The P-52s were for 52,000 years in the future, and the P-45s were from 45,000 years in the future. And the P-45s weren't interested in helping us. They were just here to harvest genetic materials which they had lost over the course of tens of thousands of years of exposure. The P-52s also returned because they came back and they were trying to tell us our consciousness can affect our timeline. Not just the timeline, but also cosmic events. They were trying to tell us that the cosmic event, which is about to happen, can be affected by our collective consciousness. It's going to play out in 2 ways. It could end up with a timeline that prevails that's an organic timeline, where mankind will begin to wake up and en masse, and that we will change the trajectory of that course by raising our consciousness, and then there's going to be some event, and our change in consciousness will actually set in motion a positive version of how that event affects us. We've heard about ancient civilizations like Atlantis or Lemuria or Mu, and you know, they come and go. They always seem to end in some huge cataclysm or some destruction, some destructive event happens, society blows up. It's like a loop. Eventually, it would have to crack that loop. So maybe here is the chance to actually break that loop. And the other timeline they were talking about that may prevail is this transhumanist timeline. Along comes 2022, and it's been like 10 years since the last Looking Glass whistleblowers had been out there talking about it, Dan Bush and a few others. But this suddenly appeared, this group calling themselves the Guardians of the Looking Glass. We are the Guardians of the Looking Glass. We're a group of former intelligence officers and military officials who have come together to release classified information about future events to come. Our knowledge comes from our work on the Looking Glass artifact, first discovered in Iraq. During this time, the artifact was activated by the US military and connected to computers. We were able to see dozens of future timelines and the convergent singularities that led to 2 possible outcomes by the year 2030. In one outcome, humanity awakens and the current order is dismantled, and an event occurs, and instead of this event being negative, it is a positive one. In the other outcome, the current structure remains in place, and with many horrible events, then the event occurs, and instead of being a positive event, it's a negative one. I'm going to talk about what we can do about it, and that's got to do with the positive timeline. We have opportunity here. The J-rods, they told us that basically they were talking about these 2 primary timelines. That there is a future where a possibly pole shift related environmental catastrophe is averted and does not happen. And relative to this different timeline, the future that generated the J-rods as we know them will never evolve from our own, and we have taken a new path. So in this timeline, which also the Guardians saw, there is a probability of that happening, and so they talk about that as well. If the post-global pole shift environmental catastrophe does not occur, the benefits could be to alternatively produce a human consciousness, liberating evolutionary leapfrog, and a level of enlightenment among the masses that will produce a new set of future timeline trajectories that will compassionately steer the course of humanity into a virgin future of untold beneficial futures and heights, and in fact fulfill the original evolutionary directive to evolve consciousness of humanity to its optimum potential as future creative agencies in the universe. These messages that we got from these J-Rods decades ago are trying to reinforce that idea, and now we're starting to, maybe the reason this came up now is because we're kind of at that last moment where we could make it happen.
Boy, if you don't get